Motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Let the record reflect that the motion was unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Joseph Donato Jr., authorized person, Susan Donovan, authorized person, Concert Woodmore Belco LLC, Class C, Dalton Country Club, Beer, Wine, and Liquor, trading as Country Club at Woodmore. Applicants, please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Good evening. Board.
Okay, would all those who'd like to testify in this matter, please stand where you are and raise your right hand. Do you hereby swear or aver under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, Counselor, we asked for some documents, including a certain contract. And the letter that was sent to us, the contract and a few other documents that haven't been provided. The letter that was sent to us says that I enclose non-privileged documents responsive to the board's subpoena in the matter. So that gives me the impression that the contract was not included because you consider it privileged?
No, sir. It did not exist. I mean, the only thing that was exempted from that production was a single email that was from the client to me. That was the only privileged matter.
Okay. So you're saying the contract doesn't exist?
That's correct, Your Honor. Mr. Chairman.
But we have a copy of the contract. We just don't have it, the signed version of that contract.
And are you talking for the December 4th event?
Is that the date?
There,
Yes, that's the date for this hearing tonight.
We do not have any contract of that date. The unsigned one is for the earlier event.
Okay, so what contract are we looking for? Or is it more than one contract?
should just be,
December 4th is what's.
should just be December 4th is the only event.
No, we sent a summons requesting all documents going back, I want to say to 2009. They responded to a summons from us.
A subpoena just is Tecum, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it went, I'm sorry, it went back to 2007. They indicated that they didn't buy it until 2012, which our records do reflect.
Okay,
So we didn't ask for anything in particular, we asked for everything.
so did we get what we requested?
Well, we did not get a contract for the event in December, not signed or unsigned.
And did we get anything else?
We did not get any signed contract. We got an unsigned contract for the May event,
We,
and then we have email correspondence with regard to both of those events.
okay,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to
Yes.
supplement that further. I was provided documents yesterday that, upon further review, ought to be responsive to the subpoena. I'd like to submit them now. They go back further. They do deal with the May event.
okay, is it the May contract?
It is. I haven't looked at all that closely. But
Is it an executed contract?
No.
I don't understand, Counselor. Are you just representing them now, or
I am.
you haven't? We haven't seen you before, so.
That's right. And I'm not sure how lucky that is for you, but I'm here tonight filling in for one of my partners. We have represented them in the past.
Okay, so Counselor, what
Yes.
we're gonna do is we're gonna let you go back and take your clients back and then come back when they can give us the documents that we requested. Because there's no use in us going forward with this if we're not gonna get cooperation from the licensee.
If it please the chairman, those documents and the documents that were under cover of my letter earlier are fully responsive to the subpoena. There is no signed contract, there is no unsigned contract for the December 4th event.
So they're operating a multi-million-dollar establishment without requiring their patrons to sign contracts for events, which substantial liability can be incurred.
I cannot say as to all the events that have gone on. I know for this one.
Okay,
it does
but that's
not
what I'm
exist.
asking you. Are they don't require contracts?
They do. They did not have one for this event.
And that's not believable. I mean, it's just
I
not
can't.
believable.
There were something like 400 people we got testimony
were.
at this event.
And we
Right.
have provided, there was a list of the food that was served, the
Right,
prices that
but
were
the point,
charged,
the point is,
check that was paid
how
for
could you
that.
possibly have an event that size? I've been involved in putting some big events on. There's no way that any venue that I've ever dealt with would let me put an event on without contracting.
I hear the board. I don't have a good answer for that. For this particular event, we have no copy of contract.
Well, we're going to ask you to come back and try to bring the documents the next time you come back. And the other thing you need to do is any other documents. We need to see a pattern of what the contracts look like. And then we need a good explanation for why there's not a contract for this particular event.
For this particular charity, there have been, in my understanding, only 2 events, one in May, one in December. So the pattern is.
Have you looked at the records to confirm that, or are you just repeating what you've been
No,
told?
sir. I've looked at the records that I've been provided from their files
Okay,
as to these 2
I
events.
need you to look at their records. Before you start proffering to me with regard to what you understand, you need to go in there and satisfy yourself that what you're telling me is something that you can confirm for yourself. The request for this document is very important. And for anyone to come in before us and just tell us that the document does not exist, when we know the document exists in an unexecuted fashion, but we just have not received the executed document. So if that's what's going to be said, we're going to need to have that said, and we're going to need to have that testimony given. But we also need the attorney who represents them to feel comfortable that you're making proffers that are actually something that you can stand on.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the board's concern.
Okay,
and
so
your concern,
we're gonna
but
continue
I would not
this.
make that proffer. if I
We're
didn't-
going to continue this and give you an opportunity to make sure that you know from viewing the documents that what you're telling us is accurate. And then we're going to have testimony to the same effect. But I can't have somebody coming before the board and making a proffer when you haven't actually had a chance to see the documents for yourself to make sure that that information is accurate.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday, I looked at the folder.
You said you looked at what was supplied to you, sir. And we're not going to continue with this conversation, but if there are any questions that you have, please feel free to ask.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So let's continue this. When can we put them on the schedule again?
Our next hearing is March the 4th.
Do you want to come back March the 4th?
That would be acceptable.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
If there's a problem with that, with my clients, I'll check and
You
advise
can
the board.
contact the office,
I shall.
and we'll make arrangements. And what exactly did the subpoena request?
It indicates any and all documents relating to the rental of the licensed premises in 2007, 08, 09.
Okay, so they took over in 2012.
Right, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Okay, so let's start with 2012.
Okay, for Brothers for a Cause Foundation, Inc., Upper Marlboro, Maryland, IRS EIN number 76-0809262.
Okay. Is that understandable, clear?
I understood it when I read it the first time, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
I appreciate that, sir. And so we would appreciate receiving the document, and if it doesn't exist, and you can confirm that that doesn't exist, and then you can proffer that to us and have the testimony that follows that, then at that point in time, we'll have to decide what to do. Okay?
And I think we're also questioning whether there only were the 2 events, because I think we've had testimony that there was more than 2.
Not for this charity.
Okay.
Well, there are definitely more than 2 events for this charity. It's a question of whether or not your ownership had control of the premises when the other events were actually held.
And also, it's not just this charity that's been a problem, but
Right.
but this has been a particular problem.
There have been practices that have been a problem, such as cash bars, which we made very clear the last time that this licensee appeared before us, that cash bars involving individuals who are not members are not something that can be provided at a club. The license that you would need for that type of activity would be like a catering license or something like that. But a club license, you can't have cash bars for people who are not members. You can't have entry fees for people who are not members. You can't have those types of things. So Mr. Caldwell is absolutely right. There are other issues with regard to practices that seem to be conducted by this particular licensees that are of concern.
We'll address every allegation that's in these violations in the show, excuse me, the show cause here.
Okay, thank you very much. So it'll be March
Thank you.
4th.
City of Restaurant, 5837 Riverdale Road, Riverdale Park. Licensing, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for the break. I've consulted with my clients, and what they believe they need at this point is it's an exemption from the requirements of the permit. So we would like to turn the application into an exemption at this point. And in due course, when the August term turns around, we'll reapply for the full permit.
Why?
Commissioner, that is their wishes.
Okay,
Commissioner.
all right.
I just have to fulfill their wishes.
They just want to, out of the goodness of their heart, give us an extra $1,500.
Commissioner,
Okay.
I've explained Commissioner's view of the law as it relates to the in-house DJ versus the out-house DJ, and that's what they've decided to do.
Okay.
Commissioner, I wanted to address the taxes issue. My client, just so you understand what the situation is, this is the brother-in-law, this is the father, the elder, Jose Martinez, this is Christian Martinez, the young gun managing the business, okay? He's the fluent, bilingual kid in the family. Alex is also bilingual. Father has an accountant from DC that has had for many years. He's delegated all finances to the accountant. It appears that the accountant neglected to send the payment for the taxes. It's no excuse.
No,
I just explained it to the commissioner.
That's definitely not an excuse, and what I would do is get rid of that accountant. He needs to get another. I don't care if he's a friend or not, because, like I said, you know, that's money that's collected from the customers, and it should be set aside in a separate fund from the operating money so that you can pay your taxes on time.
You're familiar with how an escrow account works?
I am familiar. And
Okay.
The problem is, and Chairman, I didn't mean to cut you off before, but as you can imagine, when I say self-managed, I mean really self-managed halfway, because only 2 bilingual people here, and then the father is not bilingual, and that is one of the reasons that there's a problem here. I've come late in the game. They've done this on their own, and I come late in the game to us to reconsider the denial. So I didn't mean to cut you off when you were discussing this matter with me, and I didn't mean to offend anybody on the board. But unfortunately, I come late in the game, and I'm trying to correct things for them as best I can.
Okay, well,
So,
we appreciate.
I think your approach, or their approach, is the one to take, is to get the exemption, have it changed to an exemption, and if he wants entertainment permit, submit the paperwork on time, the August timeframe.
And ask us to hear it as soon as possible.
Very well. Chairman, there's one question that my clients had, and I need to ask the board if this is doable based on the exemption that you can grant. They're now paying out of pocket almost $400 per week for 2 officers that are mandated by Riverdale County Police to be had at the location. They're paying a security guard to do the security duties at the location, which I believe are in compliance with the regulations. and your requirements. I don't know if necessarily they need to have off-duty police officers.
Well, see, they may have been having off-duty police officers because their security plan required that when they had the special entertainment permit.
Right.
But now, as Mr. Caldwell said, that you don't have the special entertainment permit, you don't have to have the off-duty the off-duty police officers, because the understanding is you're operating a family-friendly restaurant where there's no need for off-duty security officers. But by the same token, you can't deny people access at the door and pat everybody down, but you can pat down a person if you think they're a bad apple.
Correct.
Excuse
And
me,
so,
excuse
so
me,
we-
Counselor,
yes, sir.
but now, let's think this out logically.
Yes.
If they were required under the special entertainment permit
Correct.
to have security, just because you're changing the nature of the permit does not negate the need for security. So I understand it might be a little cheaper not to, but you want to think hard about that.
Yeah.
Because if there's a need for security, you need to have security, because otherwise you're going to be back up here potentially with a threat to peace and safety, and that can lose you the liquor license.
And so we understand, and they understand, with this exemption, you are not required to have off-duty police officers on scene. You still have to have a security guard, but as Commissioner Caldwell said, it can be risky, because if you have a violation of the peace and order, then you can be back before the board and you can lose the entire shed. You understand? Okay, very well. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. And I think we are finished with our presentation.
Okay, is there a motion to adapt the request for a special entertainment permit and allow it to be used as a request for exemption?
I move we grant them an exemption to a special entertainment permit.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been probably moved in second. Is everything in order? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do we have to wait for paperwork, or can we just simply operate a normal course? Thank you very much.
Can they start operating right away?
As soon as you sign the letter, we can fax it to them.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
okay. You're welcome.
I don't feel as bad after 2 hours.
Oh, Counselor, I do have one more question. You said in one of your earlier proffers that the landlord required a special entertainment.
There was-
Explain that to me.
I had a conversation with a Mr. Pip from the landlord's office. And from what I recall, please don't quote me on this, but
Okay.
from what I recall,
Well,
he did tell me that.
You're on the record, Counselor.
I know. He did tell me that he required all the permits that the county required, including the special permit, from them to operate. And it was a requirement to renew the lease, actually. So
Is that?
To have a special entertainment?
I couldn't, it is my recollection that that was mentioned in the conversation, Commissioner, but I gotta tell you, I don't specifically
I
don't.
don't, I
That doesn't make
don't,
sense.
I don't think that they have the jurisdiction to say that everybody has to have a special entertainment
I would agree.
permit.
But just to say the least, I mean, they've spent so much money just renovating that whole building,
Yeah.
and the sprinkler system, everything around it. They spend a lot of money, so.
Right.
But I appreciate the board, I appreciate the ruling, thank you.
Okay, good luck.
This concludes the hearing of the Board of License Commissioners in and for Prince George's County.
Well, I guess a contract between.
We have administrative voting session.
Administrative voting session, Sullivan's accepted the offer and compromise. This is just standard operating procedure to get a hearing date.
Okay.
Then you have a copy of Senate Bill 313 that changes amends the age on an establishment with a special entertainment permit to 18.
From 21 to 18?
Yes.
Really? Wow. You know who sponsored that?
Senator Ramirez.
Okay. Interesting.
That is interesting.
All right, next.
Why?
The administrative staff inadvertently issued a special entertainment permit to Mariachi Restaurant. And the inspection staff went and did an inspection and found a violation of them not having the special entertainment permit, but they did have the actual.
But they showed you it.
statement. That's correct.
So, like, why was it that they couldn't have a special entertainment permit?
I'm gonna say that they didn't renew it.
No, they paid their money and they did renew, but they had a problem with the use and occupancy.
Okay, you got to come to the microphone.
That's gonna be the same problem that Cydia Restaurant had. This was the first year that we actually verified everybody's use and occupancy permit.
Okay, so say in the microphone what you just said, Ms. Bryant.
They paid the $1,500 renewal fee, but they had an issue with their use and occupancy permit. They only were allowed to have entertainment to 12 midnight.
Oh, okay. So,
And they never modified the UNO, so therefore,
so
that was
well,
their
couldn't they have gotten the special entertainment permit and just had to stop all entertainment by midnight?
What happens is, if they would have had to have changed their security plan to address that time. So the police never issued them a okay letter because they wouldn't change the time on the security plan.
So they weren't in compliance with the
They weren't
security
in
plan.
compliance with the security plan. They also didn't come into our office to amend their application to say, and we sent them letters, and when we sent them a letter expiring it.
But instead of expiring it, can't we just limit the hours? Can't the board just act to limit the hours in which they can have entertainment?
If they had gone to the police department and changed their security plan, as far as the police are concerned, their security plan is not adequate
But it was just because,
of time.
so why don't we just,
Well, it seems to me we could alter that, but I'm curious, did we vote to, I remember considering me mariachi, I don't remember what we did, but what did we withdraw their special entertainment permit?
the board made a decision not to process the application further.
That's, okay, so we took it away from them, basically. Okay. So that's why they were cited.
so,
But they got one anyway.
In the middle of all that,
Uh-huh.
bye-bye, thank you. So why don't we call them in, tell them that they need to amend their security plan to comply with the hours of operation and go from there?
Do we have problems with them?
We used to have problems.
Well, okay, my question is, have they cleaned up their act?
Chris and I were there at
It was noise, right? It was too loud?
it was noise.
Yeah.
They had some time ago, they had a next door neighbor that the music was so loud.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We had several hearings on it.
Right.
Exactly. And then,
But we haven't gotten complaints from that neighbor?
not to my knowledge.
The neighbor bought earplugs or moved away or,
Or both?
yeah.
That's when Captain Gibbs was here.
Right.
That
Gibson.
The dancer.
yeah, now I remember.
That was me, mariachi?
Yes.
No, oh, the dancer that, no, she wasn't nude. She had a very scanty costume, the sailor suit.
But we haven't had problems recently.
No, we haven't received any problems recently. We realized, Chris and I were out Saturday night into Sunday morning, and we realized they didn't have a special entertainment permit, so we swung by there to see what they
But in fact, they did.
Well, you know, they don't, according to the file.
Well,
according
if
to
they've
the
got, if
paper
they've
in
got
their
paper in their
possession-
hand that says they do, they do.
Okay, let's get in contact with them. Well, first of all, they need to know that they can't have any entertainment after midnight.
Do they have a problem with cutting it off at midnight?
The police contacted them and tried to get them to address this,
So we'll contact them.
and they would not.
We'll contact them and get them to address it. So let's write them a letter telling them that they can't have entertainment after midnight as per their UNO. And if they want to keep, did we get the $1,500?
Yes.
If they want to keep their special entertainment permit, they have to get their security plan approved by the police department, which cannot allow entertainment after midnight. Okay? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And that's the county, not us.
But according to the file, there was a letter sent out that special entertainment permit was not in effect.
They have the paper, so let's go from there. And we cashed their $1,500 check. So let's go from there. All right? Thank you.
I believe you all received the minutes for January 14th. And you've read them all.
Is there a motion on the?
Okay, I understand. I mean, the first one was easy. The second one was kind of strange. How did we clear that up?
Well, it was just a cut and paste that was not the appropriate place. And they, both of them, they were the first two items in the minutes.
Yeah, the first one was clear,
They've
but,
been corrected.
okay. I don't remember the issue I was
I
going.
took care of it as soon as you sent me the email.
Yeah, okay. All right, move we accept them as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moving to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The following establishments, we are requesting that they be protested by the board. These are all the establishments not in compliance with the restaurant rule. So it's Cedar Hill Inn, Crab Cafe.
Okay, we
Eddie
can read, but, so the reason for the protest is?
Protest hearings are held as a new application. And so if we have them come in and present their case of how they're gonna be a restaurant, as they would have when they originally got their license.
I don't agree with that. We had them in here with counselor, or in some cases and not in others, and we explained to them what they needed to do going forward. I think they're now on notice. They can we need now to follow up. Give them a week or two, and it's been a week, so give them another week, and then follow up and make sure that they are complying. If they're not, we need to cite them. But I don't think these citations. I think basically we've already had our bite at the apple. We've called them in, and I think that.
But I think we should just call them or give them a date certain for them to
Okay.
come back before us and tell us what they plan to do or have done.
And we did send them a letter
okay.
that indicates those things. So now we need a mechanism for them to come in and present those things.
Okay.
Okay.
So
all right.
what did we send them to say that they have,
I believe the date was March 17th, could have been the 16th.
March 17th, March 18th? Well, let's just
18th,
go
so it
from
was
there.
those dates.
And let's see what they come back with.
Okay.
See, if
Some
not,
of
from the
them
18th.
clearly don't want to run restaurants.
But
Some of
even
them clearly can't run
But
restaurants.
Well-
even then, they should come back from that date that you said, from the 18th.
Okay.
And tell us what they plan to do.
where
Right.
we're going from
Yeah.
here.
I agree with
Okay.
that.
What they
All
wanna
right.
do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I
But you have to give them some time think it over and make some changes if they're